Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all. First off, I'd like to thank you all for letting me force you to be here today. The topic that I have to discuss with you all is one I'm sure you're all familiar with, which is making uniforms mandatory in public schools. Okay, I chose this topic because it is familiar to me. I had to do a senior project for my high school, and this is the topic I decided to do it on. By doing that, I learned a lot about the topic. I even did a survey for 2 of the middle schools, one that had uniforms and one that did not, and I got their opinions on the topic as well. So that being said, I hope that you, by the end of this speech, become a little bit more aware of the impact that something simple such as clothing can have on your students and your parents. So I know when I say make uniforms mandatory in public schools, you're probably like, ew, that's a horrible idea, that's disgusting, and I honestly had the same opinion as well until I did my graduation project. My opinion changed, and I'm going to tell you a few of those reasons why. The first one being financial issues. Now, normally, some parents can take their kids back to school shopping, get all the things that they need for the new school year, but other parents don't have that luxury. So by making uniforms mandatory, it's an inexpensive way to keep your students dressed. Uniforms for boys normally consist of khaki pants, khaki shorts, a button-up or collared shirt that's normally school colors. For girls, it's normally khaki pants, khaki shorts, possibly a long skirt, button-up shirt or collared, and also that is normally school colors. These things are pretty easy to come by. They're normally at your local Walmart, TJ Maxx, or Old Navy, and they're normally on sale as well, like a buy one, get one, a percentage off deal. So like I said, pretty inexpensive for your students. The next thing we're going to talk about is the positives for the students and the parents, which is for the students, you don't have to worry about what you're going to wear that day or the next day or the next day. And you also don't really have to worry about violating dress code. Dress code violations normally result in your student being held outside of class until they get a change of clothes or just being sent home altogether. So this takes away from your education, and these children really need their education. This also takes away from the parent because they're normally the ones that have to bring the change of clothes or pick up the student, so that takes them away from work or for whatever they need to do that day. So by making uniforms mandatory, you're abolishing that inconvenience and making life more simple for the parent and the student. The next thing we're going to talk about is how uniforms affect the rate of bullying, which, like I said before, I did my graduation project on this, and the bullying aspect is what I focused on mainly with that project. And I also previously stated how I surveyed 2 middle schools, and the survey questions or statements that were on that were, I think bullying is an issue in my school. I've seen someone be bullied because of something that they've worn. I think uniforms should be in my school. And that was on a scale of 1 to 5, rated strongly agree to strongly disagree. And the results that I received back from that were that the school with uniforms had a low bullying rate, a low violence rate, and they were pretty 50-50 on liking the uniforms. The school without uniforms had a high violence rate, a high bullying rate, and they were not really interested in uniforms at all. Which is understandable. Uniforms are a big change for students that have not had to wear them before, but once you wear them and get used to them, it's really not big of a deal. Personally, I've never had to wear uniforms, but looking back now, I wish that I had, and I also just think that it's a positive thing that schools should enforce. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for coming out. It's been great.
Now we have a question.
We don't have questions this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or last night.
Well, last time I asked my own question. Oh.